afternoon, everyone. This is Kevin Gianni from the Renegade Health Show, and today we are here in Redmond, Washington, and we're with Tom Armstrong, and you guys won't even believe what you're going to see here. This is like suburban permaculture gardening at its absolute best. How many acres, Tom, is this this little thing here?
We've got about a half acre that's planted as a garden. We've got another half acre that we're starting to bring other stuff in, you know, where we have gaps with all the ornamental stuff that we've been planting the last 15 years.
This is awesome. And what we're doing today is we're actually picking lunch.
Yeah.
So we're gonna walk around. Tom's gonna talk about some of the stuff he's doing here in the garden and show us what he's got. So.
Yeah.
And so what's the planning here? You know, what's the layout? How do you?
Well, we've got basically down here we're on a 4-year rotation, and we have 4 zones. Each zone has 4 beds, so we can stagger our planting so we get the crop to come in different times. But basically we've got like over here, this is our brassica bed. We've got 12 different kinds of kale, cauliflower, broccoli, collards, and then, you know, over there we've got more like the root stuff, the radishes, rutabagas, daikon, some chard, some spinach, and over here we've got probably 12 kinds of lettuce. Of course, some of them are going to seed now; they're bolting. But and then in between, we've got sort of a miscellaneous bed. Matter of fact, all we've got now is calendula flowers, which are edible, which are cool. But also in that bed last year, we grew some yaccoon, which was really cool, and we had asparagus come in there this year. And then,
cool.
And then as you work your way up there, we put 175 fruit trees and berry bushes in last year. So we have 6 tiers.
Wow.
And as each tier goes up, it looks like a garden now. Eventually, it's going to be a food forest.
Okay.
Right now, this looks like your typical garden. We'll keep this as our annuals, but as you go up the hill, you know, we'll have 40 and 50-foot fruit trees. We've got, you know, all sorts of exotic stuff like pawpaw and loquats and stuff like that. And then, of course, we've got like 8 kinds of apples, and we've got pears, plums, pluots, peaches. We've got a bunch of nuts. We've got some walnuts, some heart nuts, some almonds, monkey puzzle nuts, which will be 25 years before we even see if we have the right sex to have produce some nuts. But
wow.
So what goes into the planning of this as you're eating your freshly picked currants? Like how do you plan a fruit forest or food forest?
Well, with a lot of help.
Yeah.
We've done a little bit of gardening before, and then we heard about permaculture, and we just started doing a lot of reading, and then we started observing, and then we brought in a person that really, with this size thing, we really wanted to get started in a hurry, and so we just got a lot of information. Went last year around about 5 different nurseries, bought a bunch of different plants, and the whole idea being as it matures, as the canopy expands, we'll still be able to grow underneath it, but now we'll be growing vertically as well as horizontally. That's one of the big principles of permaculture. You can actually get all these different layers, and that's what, like we have a guild down here. You know, there's actually 6 or 7 distinct layers. You have the stuff going down in the ground like carrots or daikons, and then you've got the ground layer, and you've got shrubs, you've got vines growing up trees, you've got small trees, big trees. Each little level of space, you're actually placing something in it, and so you're really getting total efficiency out of your space instead of just like row crops of just boom, boom, boom.
Right, and right now, some of this stuff that's in the sun here, when the trees grow up, it won't be in the sun. So does that change? Or?
Well, that helps, because one of the things we're having situations with is the lettuce bakes in the summer. So we've got some spots over here where we could plant lettuce because it's mostly shade, and so that's what, as the forest matures, you'll have spots which, you know, plants that like the shade, they go under the trees. Maybe the one on this side of the tree in the sun likes the sun, so you might, under one tree in one guild, have shade-loving and sun-loving plants, and that's the beauty of permaculture. You're just seeing what's nature giving you and working with nature. Here's medlars. It's sort of cool. When we just jumped in not knowing anything, we kept eating these all last year, kept saying, these aren't good, these aren't good. We found out you have to harvest them, let them sit and sort of more or less rot for 2 or 3 months in cold storage, and they get riper and riper and become like a custard. So we grew all the first year we had all these medlars come in, and it's like, what's a medlar? How do you eat it? We didn't know. We found out this year how to eat a medlar. So this year we'll harvest them, put them in a box, and come February we'll be eating medlar custard stuff.
So they ripen in what? Medlar. Never heard of a medlar.
Well, they ripen in 2 or 3 months. You have to sort of, you know, after they come off the tree, they just have to sort of sit, and you know the enzymes, I'm sure, go to work. And pardon?
In the fall you pick them.
Yes, you pick them. They'll start turning brown. You'll see something's going on, and so I think, well, maybe now's the time to eat them. And it was never the time to eat them. I was like, oh, that's no good. I mean, if you're starving to death, I imagine you'd probably find a way to eat them.
To stomach them. So this is our salad. I mean, this is pretty weak. We got.
Yeah. We need to come back. we need to get going on the salad. All right. We got bunches of kale down there. The calendula down there. We have actually tomatoes that are starting to sprout up all over the place. Last year we had so many tomatoes we couldn't eat them all. They were dying and just rotting on the ground. And then some birds must have picked them up because now we're having tomatoes sprout up all over. Cool. And that's the whole principle of permaculture. Stands for permanent agriculture. It's not something every year we're out there planting seed. When you're starting to really observe how nature does it, you create that situation. And nature's not out there throwing seeds around every year, right? Mm-hmm. So bottom line is, once you dial it in and get a bunch of systems in place, those systems start becoming self-sufficient. And that's where the whole sustainability thing comes in. Once we've got the soil healthy, the soil it's feeding itself. We're no longer bringing in input from off-site. Everything's coming from on-site. Mm-hmm. And that's where the whole sustainable thing, when you can generate everything on property, we're not trucking anything in. The soil itself is building up enough biomass. It's all getting returned back into the soil, and it just like out in the wild, right?
Yeah. So once you get a certain level of minerals into the soil, then they will continually regenerate.
That's one of the thoughts that, yes, if you're not trying to, in modern agriculture, we try to force every last little ounce out of the soil. Mm-hmm. Permaculture comes from a broader perspective, says, well, this is how much land we have, we shouldn't expect to feed that many people. But so, yes, when you're growing stuff and recycling 95% that you're not eating back into the soil, you're remineralizing. And the whole other thing is, we're constantly getting bombarded with silica. It's interesting. You can set up a greenhouse, and right next to the greenhouse, the same weather conditions, stuff in the greenhouse won't grow as well. And so biodynamically, people move greenhouses to allow that silica that's coming in from the atmosphere. We're getting bombarded as the Earth moves around. We're picking up all this stuff literally from outer space. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
need a retractable greenhouse roof.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's one of the things. But there's been people been farming forever. There's people growing citrus fruit at 4,000 feet in the Austrian Alps, which they call it the Austrian Siberia because it's so cold. Whoa. It's supposed to grow at sea level in the Mediterranean. Yeah. He's growing them at 4,000 feet, overwintering, getting fruit off of citrus trees where it's just not supposed to happen. And again, that's where when you start really dialing in and getting in tune with the mother, mm-hmm. things just get back to their natural state and just blossom. We're so used to having stunted stuff that we need to force feed with all the crud, that mm-hmm. once you sort of get out of the way and set up a pretty nice situation for them, they just really take off.
That's great.
Here's what we've got. A few gojis left. And last year we dried them. They'll go from orange to red when they dry. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
It's just amazing how they're really nightshades. I mean, you just don't know until you actually see them. This is the first time I've ever seen them growing, and they're like little peppers, but they're sweet.
Yep. Could have broken up.
I know. All right, so here we are. Wow. Here's our salad, Tom. Thanks for preparing it. Look at this beautiful creation.
Yeah. Here we are.
All from your garden, eh?
All from our garden.
The salad is completely
picked fresh in the moment.
Wow.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
So, and you do permaculture classes here, correct? Why don't we tell everyone what you do?
Well, we just held our first permaculture design course this year. We've held several one-day and two-day courses, but this was a 12-day course spread over 6 months. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can also do it in 2 weeks straight. We do that, and of course, then we bring people like you in here at the store, and we do conscious language classes. So we've got a lot of different stuff going on.
What's the website?
www.rawvegansource.com.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is Kevin Gianni from the Renegade Health Show, and
Tom Armstrong from Raw Vegan Source at New Earth Farm.
Hey, what are we going to do for the question of the day? What's your favorite garden food, or what's your favorite thing that you pick? Or
let's see. Good question. Well, you stumped me on the question.
Yeah. How about this? How about when was the last time you got down with a group of really awesome friends and had an outdoor meal? So go ahead, guys. Tell us your last experience with some sort of incredible garden party like this. This is Kevin Gianni from the Renegade Health Show. Together we can change the health of the world, one show at a time.